above the salary of a head teacher, causing a rift between science teachers on one part and the teachers in humanities on another. This was further emphasized by the President in his address to the teachers on the World Teachers' Day celebrations on 12th October 2021 at Kololo. This proposed Right Honourable Speaker of selective salary increment is now threatening to break down school administrations as lower rank employees are paid significantly better than their supervisors. We support that there is equal remuneration of workers of the same qualifications and experience. For example, graduate science teachers and those of humanities of the same experience should receive the same pay.
The leader of opposition, Matthias Mpuga, has also recommended a review on taxation policy to offer tax relief for private educational institutions for at least 1 year. He says that as schools reopen, there's going to be a heavy burden on mostly private schools to get in or catch up on the system of education and also offer a better and conducive learning environment for most learners, which will be difficult for them to add up with paying tax as well. Matthias Mpuga also recommended the opposition that public schools should be permitted immediate access to a defined percentage of release of capitation grants ahead of the time to take care of the much needed renovations such that the school environment is prepared for teaching and learners as well. Mpuga says that the government needs to come up and draft a widespread recovery plan for educational sector ahead of the reopening, and this plan should be presented in Parliament as soon as possible.
The comprehensive resurgence plan presented to Parliament should include clear policy guidelines on teacher qualification upgrade and how current in-post teachers in private and public schools would be supported to attain the now set minimum academic qualification of a degree.
Joyce Muriku Kaduchu, the Minister for Primary Education, has welcomed the opposition statement and says that most of the issues will be addressed. She also adds that at an appropriate time, the Ministry of Education and Sports will issue a statement on the matter. She has assured Parliament that come January the 10th, 2022, all schools will reopen.
Schools, pre-primary, primary and secondary levels will all reopen, and all our children will be at school. We are much aware, as he has said, the tertiary health training institutions and the universities are really, as of now, operating quite well. But we all have to work together to ensure that the huge population of children that are yet to come in January, we sustain the opening of the school and we have them safe. And we pledge to work together with all of them so that we have a safe reopening.
Now, the Masaka Chief Magistrate Charles Yetise has convicted the Malongo Sub-County LC3 chairperson in Luengo District to a jail term of 1 year or a fine of 2 million shillings for soliciting a bribe in an aggravated defilement case. Simeo Senchama is convicted on 2 counts of concealing a criminal act and soliciting a bribe from offenders. Court has found Senchama guilty of aiding the sexual abuse of a 12-year-old girl and soliciting a bribe from the offender. In 2017, Senchama connived with the victim's father, identified as Francis Tushabe, to solicit a bribe of 1.2 million shillings from Edison Chalisima, a resident who tried to marry off his daughter and take her as a wife. Ruben Tumusime, the officer in charge of Katovu Police Post, told court in his evidence that in addition to initiating negotiations, the LC1 chairperson also witnessed the formal agreement between the victim's father and the offender, who was about 20 times her age. Senchama also assisted escape of the offender, Chalisima, to avoid police arrest. The victim later fled from the forced marriage and sought refuge with their relatives in Ntungamo district. Now, Charles Yetise, the Masaka Grade 1 Chief Magistrate, found Senchama guilty of overstepping his mandate as a sub-county chairperson to the extent of assuming powers of court and adjudicating criminal matters. In other news, police in Mitiana is hunting for 2 unknown assailants accused of killing 2 police officers attached to Busunju Police Post in Mitiana district. The deceased police corps, identified as Corporal Alfredo Ketch and Police Constable Moses Chigongo, were killed yesterday night after a confrontation with the officers. Wamala Regional Police spokesperson Rachel Kawala says that the deceased was approached by unidentified locals at Busunju Police Station who informed them that the suspected thief or a suspected thief was being lynched. She says the accused officers or the killed officers rushed to the scene but found the unknown thugs instead. She says that the officers, one was beheaded using a sharp machete, while another was shot dead with a police gun, and the thugs fled the scene.
They wanted someone was robbed, nayo yamubye abatuuze nga baagala kumugajambula kati they went to do what? To respond. Anti baagenze ku responding ono alabika yabasikooli ne bamutema ejjambiya ku nsingo n'afa jjako emmundu ne bagittisa ono.
International news.
Security forces digging through the ADF, Allied Democratic Forces bases in the DRC, say that rebels have moved to the edges of Mabasa and Irugu territories in the province of Ituri, Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. According to security forces, the rebels are suspected to have moved their headquarters from Beni near Rwenzori Mountains to the edges of Masamba and Irumo. Security believes that the rebels would have formed small groups, around 40 fighters who operate in different villages in areas of Lume, Basho, Mwenda, Kanaima and Mamove, all in the DRC, intending to carry out attacks and infiltrate large towns to obtain more information on how to grab the security forces who are after them. The security sources also indicate that Moasa, who is also known as Seka Valuku, the current leader of the ADF, does not have a fixed camp. He travels regularly from Beni region to escape the attacks. So far, at least 1,700 Uganda People's Defense Forces, the UPDF soldiers, are reportedly deployed in the Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo for a joint operation with Congo's military operatives, which is the FARDC, against the ADF. And that's how we conclude this bulletin. I am Pamela. Good morning.
Hot on the Heels. Agagwira War was sponsored by Get MTN Central Points when you deposit